This is a true story. It's about one of the most melancholy crimes a person can commit, the unlawful act of wasting time. And it's something you'll see quite frequently. The victim is the perpetrator, although he will often blame someone else. But of course, that's if he or she even notices they are committing the god-awful violation. They are usually too blind to the crime, so wrapped up in their groundhog existence, their routine, the same old, same old. Let me explain. There is a guy down the road who rides a motorcycle. In fact, he has 4 of them, all fairly new, top-end bikes. He definitely isn't broke, but he's no millionaire either. From what I can tell, he's in the building trade. He works hard and spends his money just how he likes. He likes bikes. They are all very nice motorcycles. An R1, a Ducati, a Kawasaki Ninja, and a hideously overdone Harley Davidson with a back tyre that's as wide as a truck. The previous owner had the bike built and the custom shop stung him for over £50,000. So this guy down the road bought it at a bloody steal for 20 grand. He couldn't say no, apparently. The guy I'm telling you about, he doesn't live down the road. He just drinks in a pub a few doors down from my home. Where I live, there are a lot of nice bars and some pretty nice pubs, especially in the old town, if that's your thing. In the old town, the pubs have a little character. Some of them date back 300 or 400 years. This pub I'm talking about is not one of them. This pub was built in the 1970s. It's very unimpressive. It's more like a run-down community centre. The old barmaid and the old barman look like they want to kill themselves. I expect to see it in the local rag every week, that they are found dead in the pub late Sunday night after an overdose of pork scratchlings and cheap brandy. It's the most mundane and unmemorable pub you could ever have the misfortune to stumble into. If you did end up inside, you would have to get blind drunk just to tolerate the decor alone. But somehow it gets kind of busy. I guess that's because they have a screen that shows football, and so this dive of a pub remains open. But this guy with the bikes, he's there every day, and I do mean every day. His motorcycle is parked on the pavement in the same spot. He is sat at the same table outside, smoking a roll-up, 4 or 5 pints of Stella down. He's a nice enough guy. I've stopped and talked to him many, many times over the last 15 years, as long as I've lived in my place. He told me his name once, but I can't remember it. So relating this story back to you, I'll call him Anything. A man called Anything. I don't call him anything to his face. I call him dude, mate, or man. I don't feel bad for forgetting his name because he calls me geezer, fella, or pal. That's because it's kind of obvious he forgot mine too. We first got talking because he saw my chopper parked on the driveway and he asked me about it, what it was, how old, how she handles, what CC, etc. Once he knew I rode, I could never pass that pub again without a few brief words. Typically something like, Anything, how's the bike going? It's going sweet, man. Anything, you been out for a ride? I went to Cromer to a party last weekend. Anything, Cromer, how far's that? Me, it's about 100 miles. Anything, each way? Yeah. Fuck me, mental. On that thing, you mad bastard. Me, you get out on yours? Anything. Yeah, I popped down here, had a few pints, didn't I? Me, cool, catch you later, be lucky, man. Anything, later fella, keep it rubber side down. And that was literally our typical conversation. The places I'd ridden to frequently changed, but Anything's never did, not even once. For at least 5 years, maybe even 10, he rides to the pub and back home. That's it. He told me where he lives once, and for this film I did some scientific research, and I can confidently tell you it's 1.2 miles to his street from the pub. So a round trip of 2.4 miles a day, 1.2 of which he probably does not remember as he's normally off his rocker. But one day as I got near the pub, he actually stood up from his chair. He left his beer on the table. This was unusual. He even put his cigarette out in the ashtray. As I approached, I knew Anything had something to say to me. I knew whatever it was going to be serious. It was going to be big news. Well, he had been for a ride, and it was not to the pub. I near fell down with shock. He told me he'd been out with his mates, and together they went on a run to this place called Bert's Tea Bar in Epping Forest. I knew it well. It's been there since the 1950s at least. My granddad used to go there in the 50s and the 60s. My dad went there in the 80s and 90s. I've been going there since the late 80s too. It's a biker hangout. It's a bit shit, but a lot of bikes meet there. They sell the worst coffee you can imagine and shit tea too. They sell pretty poor bacon rolls and greasy, tasteless burgers. In the old days, they just sold shit tea and coffee, ham and cheese rolls, nothing else. But still, the leather-clad bikers of London and its surrounding suburbs rolled in by the dirty dozens. But I'm not here to review Bert's T-bar, but I'm going to tell you like it is. The point is, Bert's is about 35 miles away, around 40 minutes from where the pub is. Anything had just done a 70-mile round trip and he was absolutely buzzing. He was retelling it like he was itchy boots back from a 7-month trip. Of course I listened intently and I was genuinely pleased for him. Maybe he will start to use his motorcycles. A few weeks later I passed the pub. He asked where I'd been and I'd just come back from a road trip to Barcelona on my chopper. He asked to see some photos. As he looked through them, the Pyrenees mountains and the beaches in Costa Brava, he started to tell me how him and his mates have been planning a trip to Europe for years. Never done it, mind. Bloody work, innit? It gets in the way of everything. After that day, every week since for the last 5 years, he tells me how they're still planning and probably going to go next year to Spain or France. He asked me which one is the best. I'm not kidding. He must have told me at least 500 times they're going. In his eyes, I can see he wants to go. He gets excited as he tells me. A couple of years ago, he had 2 heart attacks. He got over it and kind of looks a little older for it. He's still in the pub, 5 or 6 pints down, still pulls away at that pub at 10 p.m, full throttle, 80 mile an hour in our 30 mile an hour street, for the whole 1.2 mile back to his home. So he can get in bed for 11 p.m. as he's got work tomorrow. He's still talking and talking about a trip. I think we all know anything. Every town has a few of them. I feel bad to say I feel sorry for him. I feel judgmental. But I visibly see him throwing away his entire life to a shitty, boring pub. The same few people talking the same shit 365 days a year, doing nothing. This guy is the extreme, but at times there's a little anything in all of us. I really hope anything breaks free. I'm not here to preach to him. I don't even know him. It's not my place. He told me the other day he's 60 years old next week, and not long after that he downed the rest of his pint and began to tell me they actually started to plan the Spain trip. They're going to go south. Actually, he said to Marbella, because it's hot in it, and they're probably going to aim to do 100 miles a day. He asked me if I knew how far it was if they cut across France, because he don't want to go on a boat because he gets seasick. So they're going to do the Channel Tunnel. I told him it's roughly 1,600 miles. Anything asked if that was the round trip. I told him no, that was each way, and he replied, "Fuck, over 3,000 miles? We ain't gonna get there then. We've only got a week off work." I left him pondering that thought. But I know, you know, and even anything knows, he ain't ever riding to Spain. That pub may as well be his prison cell. The old girl behind the bar is his warden. The beers are his crimes multiplying, racking up a few more years each day, and making him more and more weary to break free. If you are quiet enough, you can hear the shackles on his ankles as he walks back and forth to the bar. The wooden floors are completely carved up from them. The prisoners. And the mad thing is, he has a bullshit escape machine right outside. You couldn't even make this up. The key is in his pocket. The motorcycle is in pristine condition because it's barely done any miles. Okay, the engine may be a little choked up, but 50 miles in it would clear. I want to slap him round the chops so hard and scream, "Wake up, dude. Get out, man. They sell beer in Spain too, brother." But he ain't my friend. He ain't my brother. He's a man called anything, and I'm just somebody, and it's nobody's business. To have never woke alone in the strange but warm surroundings of a foreign land, the sun kissing your face as you stir to greet the new dawn, an unfamiliar birdsong echoing across the way, a smell of adventure in the air looming, making yourself a coffee and pondering over a map of many hidden destinies, your motorcycle by your side, patiently awaiting the first morning touch, to roll up your bag and stow it carefully and securely on the back of the bike, to fire her up just after sunrise and hear how she christens the stillness of the early golden morn, to pull down a dusty side road, carefully manoeuvring each dip and crevice until you reach the edge of the tarmac, look left and look right, and try to recall which way you come from the night before, then pull onto the road remembering you were heading for the coast, slowly wind up through the gears, a little tenderly as she's not warmed up yet, hearing and feeling the satisfaction of each mechanical clunk as you shift up. There's no prizes for being the first on the road except the sight of 2 young deer just gazing at the sun as they ever so slowly stroll across the blacktop and are lost back into the trees for the rest of the day. But the road is yours and yours alone. It's just for the early riser. Gaining speed now, alert once again, survival mode kicking in, but an urge to tiptoe the knife edge is upon you. 65, 75 mile an hour. The road is straight and you can see for miles into the sun. A faint smell of the Mediterranean Sea hits you. Yes, you think, you'll swim before food, a beach to yourself, before the chairs and umbrellas are ever put out, before a single sandcastle is even a vision in an excited child's mind. You'll be the first to spook the fish, the first to mark the sand. The wind is not yet warmed, is fresh and wakes you more with each passing mile. The pistons are thumping out their joyous battle cry, the fuel explodes into power, and what a power it is. There is a dip coming up in the road, and you wind it back just a little more. It sends a rush to the pit of your stomach. 85 miles an hour, you're moving now in a groove. Don't blink until you slow. Take the rush now. Still not a car in sight, and you speed along into the haze of the glorious sun as she climbs ever higher into the great big blue. It's gonna be a good day. No idea where you'll be tonight, but you'll have lived.